Well, welcome to everybody that's joining our webinar on AI. AI is such an exciting topic. Um, it's kind of like coming into every part of our lives. And as business owners, we really need to take advantage of it. We're very fortunate today to have Mike Stodola joining us. Mike is kind of touring the country at the moment, talking about AI and how you can use AI in your business. So, Mike, do you want to kind of introduce yourself to some of our clients and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into AI?
Sure, absolutely. Welcome everybody, and we got an absolutely amazing next 60 minutes or so planned for you all around how you can use AI in your small business to be more productive, more profitable, and of course, stay protected out there. Roland, yeah, my name is Mike Stodola. I've for the last 6 years, and I think I mentioned about 6 years ago, Roland, I've been working with a company called Technology Marketing Toolkit, and we work with people who solve small business problems for others using technology. They're known as managed service providers like Roland there. And really, my background was in marketing. Before that, I actually owned a real estate company and found that marketing was really what made you successful with all of that. But I've always tried to leverage technology and not just like cutting edge and all the latest and greatest, but what's actually useful, kind of cutting through the clutter out there and seeing what's actually useful that I could bring to my business. And then since 2012, I've worked with literally thousands of other businesses, all shapes and sizes, to help them use technology to market and make more sales, get more customers, be more profitable with that. And of course, the latest iteration of that, since I guess it's about 3 years now, almost exactly 3 years, I guess, Roland, that Chat GPT, OpenAI really came out, and I think they got more subscribers in like a week than Facebook got in its first year or something like that. It was an insane growth, and it's really just taken off since then. And I have since then worked with thousands of businesses, really showing them how to use AI in a practical way. You can get lost in the clutter. It can be
You can
overwhelming.
definitely.
Yeah, it could get scary. You could go down rabbit holes, but there is so much easy, practical things to get rid of repetitive, mundane tasks, or just to take things you're already doing and make them so much better. And so that's what we have the pleasure of getting on with you, Roland, because you were one of the early adopters of it. I remember we talked with you, and literally by lunchtime that day, you'd see something in the morning that we talked about from stage. And by lunch, you're actually implementing it, putting it out there, making videos. And I think we're going to see some examples of those today. So, yeah, just an honor to be on here.
Great, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so let's jump in. No, you can't cover everything on AI in 60 minutes, but we're going to do our best to give you those real world tools and what to look out for. If you've got question and answers, if you put it in the Q&A, and we'll look at those at the end of the webinar. All right, so let's have a look at it. There's obviously ChatGPT is the most popular, but there's so many coming in, and we've got Microsoft 365 that's now Microsoft is pushing. It hasn't been as adopted as big as ChatGPT and Claude, but they are, because it's more private, some companies are looking at it. So one of the things as a business that you really do need to look at is your employees are going to start using AI to some extent or the other. The problem is, if you don't formulate a plan and policies and procedures on how the company is going to use AI, you run the risk that your employees are going to start doing their own thing. Are they going to be using free AI? And are they going to start using AI that maybe might have been developed in China? It doesn't have security. So you really want to start putting things in place to say, as a company, this is the policies and procedures we're going to use and the platform that we're going to standardize in. So one of the things we are doing as an MSP is saying you can get the advantage of having ChatGPT and Claude and those AI platforms, but make it secure, because anything that you do as a company is then saved in your own private cloud. So, of course, AI, it's once you start using it, it's like having an infinite expert on your side 24/7, patiently waiting for your next example. So with HATS AI, one of the things that they always preach is go through the crawl, walk, and run. Some of you are experts already, and you may jump straight into the run. A lot of people are going, we're just learning about AI. We want to start at the beginning. So with HATS AI, you can actually have training sessions for your employees. So instead of them just doing AI on themselves, they actually have courses that all of your employees can take to learn about AI. And you'll see here in the top right, there's a learning portal, there's a workspace, and then your normal chat that you're used to. But now you can see here, Mike, if you want to go over how this is going through it, but it's
Yeah. I mean, it's going through all of the different models, whether you use like Grok or ChatGPT, the latest one, some things we've never heard of out there, Gemini, Claude, all of that. I mean, the coolest thing about HATS is one, the security, Roland, but then two is that you can get into all these different models that would literally, even though they're just 20, 30 bucks each alone, altogether, you'd have to be spending $500, $1,000 a month to get access to all of these. So you can go in there and it's showing you all the chats, all of the tools, and you can effortlessly switch from one to another because they all do something slightly differently in a different sort of way and have different kind of expertises in there. So it's just a real cool tool. And you bring up such a good point, Roland. I still remember, I forget what the movie was called. It was a documentary about Facebook, and they had the line in there, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Talking about how Facebook, yeah, they make their money on ads and basically selling your information. And a lot of these free tools, they give them to you free because they're learning from you. They have license to your output, or they can use it for their learning models. So you definitely want to make sure you're talking with your technology provider about what's going to be in there, because you don't want to put customer information. You don't want to do anything that could be taken that you wouldn't share with the public out there in that. So you want to make sure you're on a tool that is secure 100% with that. And so you bring up such a good point. Don't just let employees go wild downloading all the free stuff they can, because a lot of times in the fine print, it's that you're giving all that information right back to that organization.
And especially once you start doing things like analyzing spreadsheets, which we are going to cover later on in the session, you could be uploading confidential information and making it and exposing it without knowing. So the great thing with this is that it saves it into your own private cloud, and that's not visible to anybody else. Another thing that I love is Claude. So Claude is it's a tiny little device. You can kind of see it here. It's not really visible, but what it does, when you're meeting with clients and prospects, you can actually set it to record. And instead of just recording the meeting, it then uses AI to create a summary of that meeting, bullet points, actionable items. What are the things that you need to do to follow up in the meeting? So I used to find, I would have a 1 hour or 2 hour meeting. Sometimes I'd be making notes. Now you can sit back, look at the person. You're not having to worry about, did I capture that information? It will be taken care of. And straight after the meeting, now you get a summary with bullet action points of what needs to be done and who's going to be responsible for which of those bullet items. So Mike, have you played around with Claude much?
So I have not played with Plod exactly, though I do love their new one that like just can actually attach to your phone. So you could be walking down a street in Manhattan and having a phone conversation, and it actually records not just based on the audio, but on the vibrations from the phone to capture the conversation. So you could have a business talk while you're walking around, and then it'll summarize it all for you. So you don't have to be writing it down. And like you said, giving the notes. We use a similar thing, Roland, and I think this is one of the things a lot of small businesses can do. If you like, a lot run on Microsoft, and depending on what kind of licenses you have within Teams, we use the Copilot license with AI attached. So every meeting we have, it gives us a full transcript. And like for our meetings, we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You leave, it's got the overview of the meeting and then exact to-dos and next steps, person by person, in there. So I love it because you can never say, oh, we didn't talk about that, or I didn't know this, because it just sends you those. And so then each person, sometimes, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Roland, where there's a meeting, it's a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden you hear your name and you're like, oh, I don't know what we were talking about so much. And it's just like, okay, Roland will have that done by Thursday. And you're like, just kind of nod along here. I might have done that a time or two, but you can just then look at the notes and it says, okay, Mike, you got to send out this email to this list by Thursday at 2:00. And it gives you all of the information right in there. And the coolest thing, and I know Plot is very similar on this, you can like just go and then hear the audio from that part to get any context from the minute or two before that as well. So, I mean, it's just incredible tools that make it really seamless. I mean, it becomes your project manager. A good project manager costs a lot of money and they're worth a lot of money. Now you can do a lot of stuff to assist your project manager, where you're taking all the mundane tasks off of them through something like Plod or Copilot, and giving them their time back to work on higher level things, while giving the stuff to the people even faster than before.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, now we're all doing presentations, we scheduling things. So to be able to use AI to combine Canva to create a PowerPoint. So Mike, I'm going to start this, but maybe if you just
yeah, absolutely, I can talk through it. I know you talked about Canva and people love that, and it's a inexpensive tool. But what I've done here is I went into ChatGPT and said, I'm doing a webinar for local small businesses in the Houston area on AI and how it can be useful in their business. And then I said, basically, make me an overview and an outline. Oh, there we go. Have it. There it goes. Make me an outline. I want to be AI focused for them and how this is practical in their businesses. So now I promise this is not what we're doing today here. We're just showing you an example. So this is all real time. So I've written that. I actually just talked to chat because it gets a lot more detailed, and it's writing an outline for me, which that's all great and all. But then I actually wanted it to give me the specific slide. So I said, that's great. Can you build a slide deck? I'm going to use Gamma app that'll have a title slide and then like 8 to 10 slides that we can go through that really show them real world use cases for this. So, and then it's giving me use cases, and then it built the full prompt in Gamma. And again, Roland talked about Canva. You can do the same thing in there. Quite honestly, I'm not as versed in Canva. We've got another member of the team on that. So I know Gamma, so I used that. So then I told it, give me the exact prompt. So that's what you put into Gamma. All these runoff prompts, you tell them what you want it to do, and it's making that, and it's going along. And then like I just cut over to Gamma. I said, paste in text. I just pasted in the exact thing from ChatGPT. Now we're at about 1:20. So everything you've seen up to this point in real time. So I said, generate from notes or an outline. It's configuring the prompt. I did pause it there because it took about probably just 30 seconds. It's giving me some color options, some other things. I forgot about this. So I'm looking around and just chose those things quickly. It's got all the slides, and then I hit generate. I paused again. We're at a whopping 1:45, and then it started creating it. And now you're watching it create this in real time, but it probably took about 60 seconds total. I think I paused it at some point here because as it adds in images, it just gets a little boring and I got to scroll up and down and everything, but I'll show the final one. But guys, like, look at these slides and how great they look from this. you can take a presentation you already made in PowerPoint, but you want it to look better. You can just plop that right into either Canva or into Gamma or whatever and tell it to just make it look amazing in there. So now if you don't like these images or whatever, you can redo them one by one. You can tell it to redo all the images. You could use real live photos, but it made all of this. Even if I hadn't paused, this whole process probably took about 4 minutes on this. And it was
of
good.
the amount of time that it would have taken you in the past.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Roland, you talked about how we're going around the country. Yeah, we got over 1,000 businesses signed up for these live in-person events that we're doing. You better believe I'm using software to make my slides. We got 6 hours of presentations we're doing on there on AI. Like that would take me, it usually takes me 2 to 3 hours just to make the slides for every hour of presentation. With this, I can give it all the information. It'll make all the slides and it'll make them 50 times more interesting than I could ever make them.
In addition to that, in the past, you almost have to be a graphic designer to create all of this stuff. And now you've got it at your fingertips. You're producing it within minutes with very little skill set. So everybody should be able to create PowerPoints within minutes and have them very professional. And of course, you're always going to go back and tweak things. But boy, the amount of time that you're saving and the professionalism that you're adding to your presentations.
Oh, 100%. And it was funny, just last week, Roland, we were having our different departments do kind of Q4 planning. And of course, being in the marketing department and knowing these tools, we got together in the morning and like the last hour of the day, you're supposed to just kind of present on your plan. And of course, we threw it all into quote unquote PowerPoint using these, where it took all of about 3 minutes for us to put our entire outline in there. And this is where AI becomes powerful. We were writing on whiteboards. We took pictures, put that into ChatGPT. It made the outlines there. And then we told it to make the slides for us. And so it looked like we had spent hours making slides. They're like, you guys should have spent more time on the plan than on the slides. And I'm like, oh, trust me, we did. This took about 5 minutes to make these slides. Everyone else is coming in just explaining something, or they had a Word document that they had done. I'm like, I could show you in 5 minutes how to put these in nice slides too. So you can really impress people, things you would never have done before, where because it would have taken you too long. Imagine meeting with a client, having a proposal minutes after the meeting because you used Claude. Then you put that into ChatGPT, told it to summarize it and put it into slides. That whole process would take 5 to 10 minutes tops. And you could impress the heck out of your prospects or your clients.
Yeah, it really is amazing. And it's just making our lives so much easier. And this is one thing that I love playing with. You showed us a while ago, and we started implementing it. And Hagen kind of does an avatar. You do have to upload a personal video of yourself, and you create your own avatar of you. But the great thing about it is that you can then personalize videos to people, and we'll go through that. And then, of course, in video, there's lots of other similar ones. I just happen to like in video. I know, Mike, you've played around with quite a few of them, but it's great to be able to create videos from scratch with pretty much very little knowledge. So this is one that we had done. And now you got to remember that this is not me, this is AI. The accent is slightly different. I pick up on it. And some of the people who know me well might say, well, it doesn't quite sound like you. But we've been training my avatar to sound more and more like me. But let's go ahead and listen.
If you're a CPA firm in Houston, you know how high the stakes are during tax season. Every second counts, and outdated IT could be holding you back. Slow systems, unanswered support calls, compliance risks. Sound familiar? At Impress Computers, we help CPA firms avoid all that. We guarantee 15-minute response times and specialize in IT for accounting firms, right here in Houston.
So if you think that all we did with that was that we took a transcript and uploaded it to Hagen and said, produce this video. if you're meeting with a client or you've just met with them or you've met with a prospect, you can actually upload a video, just simply take the text, run it through ChatGPT and produce a video within minutes. This is another one. So this is using in video on how you can create a video. And again, this is...
Hey, Roland, before you hit play there, I just want to make sure everyone understands, like, because it actually took me a few minutes when I was looking at your videos. I thought that was just a video of you doing these sound bites, but what you've done is load your avatar in there. And so, because then I went to your guys' YouTube channel and saw you've got dozens and dozens of the videos of you sitting in that exact position talking about all sorts of different topics over the range of months. So you uploaded a video of yourself talking about something for, we'll call it 3 to 5 minutes, and now you just upload the script and it cranks out a brand new video with the brand new script, so you don't actually have to record those ever.
Yes. So, and if you listen closely, you can hear that maybe it's not quite me, but again, this is purely
If you're a CPA firm,
an AI.
you know how high this.
So it's people sometimes like, no ways, and it's like, yeah, that is not me speaking. I've never said that. That was just me uploading that to Hagen. So this is using in video, similar thing. You're taking from ChatGPT, uploading it to in video, and you're saying, okay, let's create a video.
North Korea is offering Houston employees $300K to destroy your business. This is happening right now. They're jamming your employees on LinkedIn with fake $300K freelance jobs. When your employee downloads their work software, boom, North Korean hackers steal millions in crypto from your company. They're specifically hunting Houston businesses.
So again, this is just
North Korea is
creating a video, using in video, and it's just script. We didn't go in, we didn't do any graphic design. This is another one here. And again, this is an animated one. So you can either choose to be professional or you can choose to be animated. So Mike, creating this, how long did this take to create this video?
Yeah, but basically, so this is what talking about with in video. It's just a super cool system. You can do all sorts of different things, including Pixar type claymation. You could do realistic looking, but I thought we'd have some fun, and I asked it to do a Pixar style video, and this was about AI in general for Houston businesses. And I spent all of about a minute on this because I just uploaded like one paragraph into there about what I wanted and let InVideo actually do the rest. Now they work with like ChatGPT to create the entire prompt, but I spent a minute. Now it took a while to render, but it was doing all that without any of my input. And then it spit this out. And this is with 0 edits and me not knowing anything really about videos. Like this would have cost thousands and taken probably weeks or months just a year ago. And now got this in about with less than 5 minutes of my work.
Running a local business feels like juggling flaming bowling pins while riding a unicycle on a Monday. That's where AI comes in, not the scary sci-fi stuff, just practical tools that help real businesses like yours save time and get more done. Imagine optimistic emails drafted in seconds, meeting notes turned into action lists, even your marketing posts written before your coffee pools. AI helps you focus on growing your business, not drowning in tasks. At Impress Computers, we're your local partner in technology, helping Houston businesses boost productivity and solve problems with the latest tools. Ready to see what AI can do for you?
So it's quite crazy, really, that you think that very little time, no video expertise, and you're able to do something within a short period of time. And obviously you can refine things as you go along, but the basic structure is done within minutes.
Yeah, that was with 0 editing or anything. Like that was out of the box. You could go change a bunch of things or whatever. But I mean, 0 editing, about 3 minutes to 5 minutes of my work involved, and then just like in video spits it out just like that. So this is great for social media posts. If you do any types of advertising, like trust me, go to an ad agency, they're probably using tools like this to make these nowadays. They'd probably spend a couple hours because you could clean it up and do it exactly what you want, but they'd spend a couple hours. But most people would probably have to pay 5,000, 10,000 for something like that. So you're just never going to do it. Now it can be done with 5 minutes of your work, a subscription. Like to do these, I mean, it's probably about $100 a month, the subscription, to have access to those. And you can make about 5 minutes worth of videos like that a month, but that would be like 2 to 3 of those a week for $100, where if we had never done those before. Geez, Roland, well, you know, some of our events, like we do little teasers before events sometimes. And Roland, you were actually featured in our Better Your Best competition as one of the top 5 MSPs in the country. That was a couple years ago. We did a little video for that. We hired an outside agency. It was about 15 grand for a 45-second video that had this kind of the same types of I'll call them special effects in there. We were working with them for 6 weeks to get that, and $15,000 later had 45 seconds that we played once at a conference. And now I can make a dozen of those in an hour.
You know, it's crazy. So AI is really all about improving your efficiency, cutting your costs, and saving you a lot of time. So what we're starting to see now, using AI to also then look at your own website. Now, we're not saying that we're website experts, but you can definitely take this, whether you're managing your website on your own or you have a SEO person, you can actually take this information to them and say, look, I've run this through ChatGPT. What we're also seeing is that more and more people out there are using AI, whether it's the Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, to do searches on the internet. So instead of going to Google or Bing, they're actually going into their AI and searching for companies. The one good thing about that is that you're not getting any of the paid ads. It takes away a lot of the fluff and digs deeper in to save you time when you're doing searches. But that does mean that now you have to make your own website more visible to AI. Because if people are searching, using AI to search, you need to make sure that your website is visible to AI. So Mike, you did this here. Do you want to kind of go through how?
Yeah, 100%. So just to show you how you could use this in your own business, like something you could do today. So I just went to a CPA in Houston and just pulled up their website and grabbed their URL. And they got a great looking website, but I said, can you go through this website? Then I put it in extreme detail. And then this was using a tool called Claude. It's just like ChatGPT, just wanted to feature a different tool. And I said, ultra think about this, which is kind of a code in Claude to take all the time in the world that you want. And I said, find all the technical and on-page SEO issues so they can dominate the local services. Or local six-pack there. And so what that is, you guys have all seen it in Google. If you say find an accountant near me, it's going to highlight 3 businesses. So this is where it's going through in real time. And then it made a whole list of things to improve about the website. And then as you scroll down, it's telling you thing by thing. And then towards the bottom here, as we get through, it says, hey, weeks 1 and 2, first do this, weeks 3 and 4, 5 and 6. It tells you everything. Now, even if you can't do it, you could take this to an SEO person, and then it's saying 15 to 25% more traffic. Then it says weeks 4 through 6, 150 to 200% more traffic. And it even gives you a budget if you needed to hire someone to do all this work for you on that. Like this is something we used to pay a lot of money for, to do what would be called an SEO audit. You usually pay anywhere from $500 to $1,500 just for the audit. And if you wanted someone to do the work for you, I mean, 15, 20 grand to start, and then usually $1,500 to $2,500 a month after that. Now, this was still saying if you want to have a person do all that for you, you could still invest a lot. But the funny thing is, with a lot of these, you could just go in and ask either Chat GPT or a tool like Claude how to do it yourself, exactly where to go, or any web developer. You give this list to them, they know exactly what it means and exactly how to fix a lot of these things. So you could use the phraseology that we just gave you here. Or if you want something simple, just go to Chat GPT, give it your website's URL, and tell it to act as a search engine optimization expert, SEO expert, and to rate your site and to suggest improvements. And it will give you an entire plan for that. So just make sure to enter your exact URL in there so it can go look at them. But I mean, again, this is something you can have done. What was that whole thing? A minute 17 is stuff I used to have to wait for days or weeks for and spend thousands of dollars, even just to get the information, pay someone to tell me what we're doing wrong in there.
And now within minutes, you've actually got that information. You can use it to go almost page by page, optimize this page, optimize another page.
100%.
You do it yourself or give it to somebody else, at least you've got that information. And then, of course, you know, for businesses, we've analyzing data. We're in a data intensive part of our lives. All of us have got so much data that's available, but what do you do with that information to make sense of it? Because sometimes the amount of data can be just overwhelming. So this is something that you ran.
Oh, yeah, I think
You wanna
I might have shot this to you, Roland, here. So let me give you a background on this. So we were talking to, it was over 100 businesses, and we asked them 13 questions. So you can see, like, it scrolls down forever, then it's 13 columns across the top. And these were not like one answer. There were paragraphs of information. So then we wanted to organize this. Now, in the past, we would have like a full-time person do this. Instead, I just uploaded the Excel sheet into, I used Claude again for this one, but you could use ChatGPT also. And I just started with, hey, what do you make of this? And then started going in deeper, and it would find trends and everything. And then what it did at the end of the day was give me a 24-page report, like broken section by section, that analyzed these places by industry, the most common phrases, their biggest problems, their biggest successes, their wants, their desires, their needs. And everything, gave us a tremendous amount of information that we could then go and use in our marketing and sales to use their exact words that they want. So we know if we're talking to a manufacturer, here's what they're looking for. If we're talking to small to medium-sized businesses, here's what they're looking for versus a owner-operator type of business. Like, again, this would have taken, I don't even know how many dozens or hundreds of hours, and we would have never gotten such good information from this. But now something like this didn't just take a minute to do, just to be clear. This was me going back and forth with a number of times and looking at what it was giving me and diving into other things. But I think in total, it was probably about 90 minutes to 2 hours to get this 24-page summary that was just filled with gold. Like, I thought this could be like I would spend a week before I handed it off. I was just looking for some high level stuff, and the complete project was done in a matter of about 90 minutes with that, and was so much better than anything I could have ever done. But we've used it for, I mean, we've put thousands and thousands of data points in there, tens of thousands of data points, and it'll find trends. It'll find things you didn't even know were going on in your business. The one caution, kind of to bookend what you were saying earlier, Roland, we never put, and even if you had gone back to that Excel sheet, I blacked out for our purposes the company names, but when I actually gave it to this. I didn't even have the company names in there. We don't like personally identifiable information in some of these tools unless I'm using something like Roland, you mentioned with hats that I know is secure. But in this case, I just take it out anytime I don't need personally identifiable information, take it out because you just never know what's out there. But that's why those tools, we actually, Roland, I don't know if I mentioned this, we just invested in hats. So because of the compliance and the security in that, so got to start, I got to be the old dog learning new tricks here and start playing around with that. I know it's practically the same as these tools as well, but I haven't tried doing big data into there and see what it spits out.
Yeah, they've got a section that is purely for data analysis.
Okay.
So I even started doing some things like took all our phone calls in the past 90 days, put it in there and said, let's look at trends when we are the busiest times. Were there any missed calls at specific times over that 3-month period? What recommendations would you make? And it's just taking all that information that was thousands of rows and within 60 seconds giving you an outline of what you should be doing to make sure that everything gets answered correctly and when you should have extra people on call. So it's quite amazing that all of this data that you've got at your fingertips, whether it's financial, inventory, trends in the market, all of those things can be put in and you make sense of it. And there's things that we used to do in the past, but it would just take so much time.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we did recently was we analyzed, I don't know, it was hundreds of inbound phone calls from people who were looking for services. And we fed all the transcripts in, we got them all transcribed. And just so everyone knows, we have a little thing on there. It says, hey, this call may be recorded for training and monitoring purposes, that whole thing. Like you got to stay legal and compliant 100%. Don't sneak it up on these people here. But we took hundreds of those and like quite honestly we used to have to go through those calls one by one and see where good ones were, how people were doing. We uploaded them all, got them transcribed, and then we plugged them all in. I think we used ChatGPT for this, plugged them all in, and then it analyzed all whatever, I'll just say 200 calls and said what the biggest things were that people were calling in about, the top 5 problems. It would grade each one of the calls, how the person answering the call did, identify mistakes and opportunities with that. It was invaluable. I mean, I don't know what it would have taken to listen to 200 calls because these calls range from anywhere from about 2 minutes to 15 minutes on a call. Like you're not going to sit there and listen to 200 calls. This whole thing took a couple hours and again, gave us so much data. And then we're able to train those people handling those calls. And it gave us a wealth of information because we found the top 5 things people were calling in about. And some of them, we didn't even really realize that that's where the conversation started. And so now we can write blogs, we can have videos, we can have, like, if you have a chat bot on your website, you can load all that information in so that they can get those answers immediately and you can get more traffic to your site. You can even train those initial line of defense, those people answering those calls with the answers to those most common questions if you want them to helping them out. So it's just incredible what you could do.
So I think the big thing is, where do you start as a business? And I think pick one tool, start with one, decide what you're going to use as your main platform. Make sure that everybody in the company is in alignment to what you're doing. Create the documents and best practices, and you can use your AI to help you with that. Pilot with a small team and then start rolling it out. And if you want to, you can book a session with me and we can go through how you can implement that AI strategy in your business. So Mike, we do have a few questions.
Oh, perfect.
So Ann Peak was asking, so I know from a security and compliance point of view, this might be driven towards that way. Can you delete forever notes from the meeting? So if notes are being made, but now you want to, okay, we want to make sure it's erased. Can this be be deleted.
So, I mean, and you'd probably be much more of an expert at this, but this is where, as much as we all hate to read that fine print, this is where you do read the fine print. And actually, a lot of these companies that are doing this have the fine print pretty big because they know these are the commonly asked questions. So each of these tools will say what their policies are, and a lot of them you can change them if you want them to stick around for 24 hours, 15 days, or forever. You can set those on the paid versions of things. I would just assume if you're using a free version, assume anything you put into a free version of anything, you have no control over. With that, I would be very cautious of putting anything you want control over in a free version. It's absolutely fine to play around in free versions to see if you like InVideo or HeyGen. A lot of them will give you free credits. Claude, ChatGPT, they have great free versions. Just don't put anything in there you would not want kind of publicly available with that. Learn about it enough to see if you're going to use it. And then that's where, Roland, I don't know about you, but I always start with, like, all of these places have month-to-month options. That's like 20% higher. They all want you to sign up for a year. That's 20% less. I always start on the month-to-month, make sure I'm using it 30 days later. Or is it like a gym membership where January 1, we run in and sign up, and then by about January 3rd, we're done, so that I can quit?
Yeah, and I think the big thing is, general rule of thumb is nothing is free. So whatever you're doing, get the trial, go month to month, but do not use the free version, because you don't know how they're going to be using that data. So again, they can be deleted forever. You've just got to check on the application that you're using. So Chris was asking, can you direct any of these AI agents to review a repository of photos with the direction to select the most visually appealing photographs according to some recognized standards, and then create your slideshow? So it's kind of like, I guess he's asking, we're looking at these photos, but which ones are going to be the most appealing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to say yes to this, though I don't know a specific photo app, but I guarantee there's something out there, because you can do that with videos and whole webinars. So like there's a tool we use called CapCut, like CAPCUT. And these tools change names all the time. They get merged, they get acquired, they just change to some other kind of name there. But I think it's still called CapCut. But you can upload a whole, like, we could take this video after this is done, upload the recording, and it will find and cut it into 30-second to 90-second clips and rate them for their online virality. So you could say, hey, give me the 10 clips, 30 seconds to 90 seconds that will be best for their virality on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you want with it. So if it can rate text, if it can rate video, I guarantee there's something out there that can rate still photos. That would be a lot easier than those others. I've just never tried it specifically for photos, but I mean, you could probably just upload a whole video of the photos, do a slideshow in like a PowerPoint of photos, and then use a tool like a CapCut, and it'll pick whatever each little section that is best. It'll also combine things. So you can tell, like, some of these tools, it can take what are we at, about 40 minutes into a webinar, you can make it into the best 12-minute kind of preview, or kind of, what is it, Cliff Notes version of the webinar with that. And it'll do these things in minutes. It's incredible.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where if you upload the photographs and ask it to do that, it's then going to come back and give you some information. And then you can just go backwards and forwards, one like this. And you've got to think of AI as you're just corresponding with that AI expert. You're giving it information. If you don't like the answer, ask it some more questions. I know we've done a lot of stuff where you upload some stuff, you ask it some questions and you're not quite happy with the results. So you just keep asking more questions and it refines it as it goes along.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And then Chris was also asking, there's Claude and there's Claude and maybe others. So what's the origin of Lord?
Yeah, I think this is more coincidental than anything.
Yeah. So I did actually ask hats like what it, and it said, although both contain Lord, they come from different roots. Claude is actually from Claudus, while Claude is part of applaud or applause. So I think it's just a coincidence.
So what did it say Claude was from?
The Claude was from Lord, Laud.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I knew that Claude was like applause and stuff. It's like because it'll take the notes and make you look like a rap star, so you get applauded in your meetings. So
Claude and Claudius or Claudus, well, Claude is a applaud or praise. So
yeah, so who knows? Those are just yeah, there's hundreds of AI tools, and I think you said it right at the beginning, Roland. People say, where do I start? Like the thing is, you pick something and get started. You had the crawl, walk, run, and I know one of the things we teach is the play, practice, preach type of thing. So then tell others what works. So find one, and you've got to commit a little bit of time to one. I was thinking about this the other day. For some of the things we do, you wouldn't just have a guitar, buy one, and then use it for 10 minutes and say, oh, this is terrible. I can't play guitar. Too much work. I don't know what to do in it. No, if you get a guitar, you then buy a book or you hire an instructor for lessons, because then you can learn more in an hour than you would in a year on your own. Or nowadays you go on YouTube or whatever and download a free lesson, or go into ChatGPT and say, how do I learn guitar as quickly as possible with that? So you've got to kind of use one. And the great thing is most of these, you can go into something like ChatGPT. Like if you don't know where to start using it, go in there, put it on the like voice mode, so you can just talk to it and say, hey, ChatGPT, I'm a finance director at a manufacturer in Houston. We do X, Y, and Z. Here's what I deal with. Here's my responsibilities. What are some of the top uses or things that I should be using ChatGPT for? And then I always say, ask me any questions you need to give me a better answer. And sometimes it'll just be like, hey, I know what you're looking for. We've done this a million times type of thing. Other times it'll say, oh, okay, you're a finance director, manufacturing. Like, what do you make? What are your biggest problems? All these things with it. And the coolest thing is, if you want to learn a different type of AI, ChatGPT, Claude, all of those big models, Gemini, probably Grok as well. They will teach you how to use totally other systems too. Just like you could ask it for a diet plan or a workout plan or anything like that. It knows what these other things are. So if you want to look into Canva more on how to make presentations, tell it to give you a step-by-step learning plan on how to create amazing presentations using Canva, and it will give you a step-by-step plan for just that. So just tell it exactly what you want. Talk to it like a person, be as specific as you want to be with it, or you can leave it general and it'll say, do you want something more general? Do you want just an outline? Do you want a week by week for 6 months type of plan with that? So you can use the AI to really help learn AI.
So Elijah had a question, and he said, how could AI help us improve quality control in welding and fabrication, detecting defects with real-time monitoring? And could AI help us track invoice payment errors for faster flag anomalies? So if we have a look at this, well, let's have a look. Short answer is yes. It's good at both weld quality monitoring as well as anomaly detection. So it goes through what to detect. So the surface, visual porosity and cracks. And it goes through the sense options, what you would need, the monitor, and AI methods work well. It gives you how to use it. So you're almost using AI to answer your question on how to use AI in your specific business. So as you can see, it starts to get more technical. You can ask it more questions. It goes through the different parts. So yes, it can do all of this, but now, and I'll send you the answers to that. But again, Elijah, this is why you need to start with AI, to tell you how to use AI in your business.
Yeah, and you can see how specific it got there. Like most of us have no idea what a lot of those terms mean, but obviously if you're in that industry, AI, like what was your quote, Roland? AI is like having an infinite number of experts at your fingertips, or something along those lines. Like there's nothing AI doesn't know, for better or worse, with that.
And I think the good thing is that it's not only is it your 24/7 companion, it's not going to get emotional. You can ask it as many questions as you want. And it's going to learn your business. So once it learns you, it learns your business, it's going to get more accurate as it goes by. So it improves, everything gets improved as you start using it.
Yeah, and Roland, like I think the second part of that question was about like payroll and invoices and inconsistencies. I guarantee you could have, whether there's something out of the box or not. I'm sure QuickBooks and those types of companies, Intuit, QuickBooks, are probably working on that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's out there. But for specific businesses with some of these AI programmers out there, and I know, Roland, you guys are really on the cutting edge of a lot of this, more on small business scenarios with it. But I was talking with one Nashville business where they do a lot of shipping, and they actually, their original business was to find shipping, like the lowest cost shipping options, because you got a million shipping options and these are high volume shippers. And then they realized that how much fraud was happening in shipping. So they found things where employees were saying there were 100 XYZ being shipped, but then the weight of the package was like 50% higher than 100 of these things would be. And they found that they were cutting deals with the end company to put an extra 50 of the product into the same amount of boxes there, and hundreds of thousands. They found employees who were actually mailing drugs in the stuff because it was way lighter or whatever in there. So they found all sorts of crazy anomalies. They found one employee who was actually sending things out to family as well. There'd just be like 1 or 2 extra, like everything that should be 100 pounds was like 102 pounds. And they're like, no human would be detecting that, or they'd think, it's close enough. But they found that this one employee was always off by just a little bit. Then there was another place that they were analyzing receipts from restaurants and found that one server, which isn't necessarily that weird, always was getting a little bit more, but then it was analyzing the handwriting on the receipts and finding that usually when you get a receipt at a restaurant, there's like customer copy and like server copy or whatever. Most people sign one and just leave the other one. They don't take it and do that. When the person was doing that, the server was going in and just adding like $1 extra to the tip, and signing the other one and throwing the original copy away from that. So this person was constantly doing that. And so it found, hey, why do hundreds of our receipts have the same handwriting on it? And it's always this server, and they're always getting 1 or 2 more bucks. So it wasn't enough that people noticed. I don't remember if I left an $11 tip or a $12 tip last time, but it was adding up for this server. So there's just crazy things that it can do.
So I think the whole thing is start with a platform and then start using it for your employees and start looking at, what are the different ways? Admin and finance, going to your manufacturing controls, marketing. There's so many different ways that you can use AI, but you've just got to make sure you're secure, you're doing things correctly, and you put policies and procedures in place so that employees don't start going rogue and using their own form of AI. Because the chances are all of your employees to some extent are going to be looking at using AI to help improve their own productivity. And you just want to make sure that they're using the right type of AI and you standardize your platform.
So Roland, I know we're up against it here, but like if I'm a business owner on here, I'm probably asking myself, if I really want to get started, like, how do you help me? Why are we doing this webinar? So what would the next step that someone would want to take from here to kind of get started and see how they could use technology to help them kind of with their productivity and solve their problems?
Yeah, so the easiest thing to do if they just want to book a 15-minute or 30-minute consultation with me, there's no charge to that. And we'll just sit down and see, whether you want to talk about AI, security, or IT in general, we can actually do that. And we want to come in and see how can we make not just your company more efficient. We want to make sure, how can we make you more efficient, more productive, more profitable, and keep it secure. Because if you get profit and productivity, but you lose out on security, now you could be opening up a whole can of worms that leads to another set of problems. So improve productivity and increase security. And just sit down with us and have a 15-minute chat. We can do it over Teams, over Zoom, or we can meet you in person.
Well, perfect. Well, and any parting words for folks here, Roland?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is AI isn't coming, AI is here. And we've just got to embrace the fact that it is around, and let's keep ourselves secure. We know that this is a crazy world that we live in today's environment. So security is a big thing, but take that first step. If you haven't done it already, get AI involved and make it part of your daily life, because once you start using it, it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to improve your productivity, not just for yourself, everybody in your company. And it's going to ultimately make your entire company more profitable and productive. And if you don't start using AI, your competitors will, and you're going to get left behind.
Awesome. Oh, great advice.
So Chris says, one final question. Is that really Roland? Well, it is me. It's not my AI this time. But if you ever want to go and have a look at our YouTube channel, you're going to see tons of videos. Some of it is me and some of it is my AI.
So, well, thank you, Roland. Thanks for everyone being on today. I mean, you've already taken the first step. You probably know more about AI than 90% of your competitors just because you've taken the time to join these types of things. And Roland, I know you're going to start doing workshops like this on a monthly basis and be just giving out the best information that small businesses can use about how to utilize AI effectively in their business. So I look forward to seeing those in the future here.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for everybody for joining us today.